So to start off, we're going to be going over the gear needed for the build. This build is going to use mostly Berserker and Marauder gear, very similar to the Berserker setup. Berserker armor with Marauder trinkets and Marauder weapons. Um, your main weapon that you're going to be using is a hammer, and on your offhand set, you're going to be using mace and sword or sword and sword. The main difference between whether you use sword or mace sword is going to be kind of down to personal preference. Um, the mace is going to give a bit more AoE damage. Each one of your skills here is going to hit 5 targets and do quite a bit of damage. Um, Whereas sword is going to apply a bit more vulnerability on its auto attack, and it's going to give you another evade and a good AoE burst damage on the second skill. For our weapon skills, we're going to be starting on hammer. Your first is going to be an auto attack. This is a projectile and it can be reflected. It can hit up to 5 targets. Your second skill is Coalescence of Ruin. This is going to be a 3 pulsing damage attack that crawls out towards the 1200 range. Um, your third skill is going to be Phase Smash. This is going to leap out towards a target and deal AoE damage at its landing location. Your fourth skill is going to be a frontal projectile block. This is very similar to the Shield of Courage uh, front on the Dragon Hunter. It also counts as a dark field, so when you auto attack through it, it will give you AoE life, or it will give you self lifesteal. Your fifth attack is an area crowd control. Wherever you target it, it's going to take a second to cast, and then slam down and knock down enemies. Um, your your fifth skill is what you're going to be looking to use when the commander calls for pull spike. You're gonna try and anticipate when he pulls and try and cast it before he actually pulls, so that once that lands, you can follow up immediately into Coalescence of Ruin and Phase Smash. On your mace set, your first attack is just a standard melee attack. The third skill in the chain will deal AoE damage. The second skill is an area of effect attack that right in front of you that will hit 5 enemies and burn them. Your third attack, it will do 3 impacts similar to Coalescence of Ruin, going out towards 1200 range, but it will leap you forward and it will hit 3 targets each. But it does apply weakness and torment in doing so, which helps try and alleviate damage. Your fourth skill is your sword skill, and this is going to deal AoE immobilize on enemies, and it also does a lot of burst damage too. The downside to this skill is that it is a 1-second windup, so try and lead where you're going to attack, even when we're in melee, to make sure you actually hit somebody with it. Your fifth skill is going to be a shadow step towards a single enemy. It will deal a lot of damage to a single target. So this is a good skill to use once they're broken and we're looking to chase. But try not to use this skill until we've already won the fight. For our utility skills, we're going to be running Dragon Stance and Dwarf Stance for this build. Our first skill is our utility skill, and once we activate it, and then we use the active effect of it, while this is active, all incoming damage to you is going to instead heal you. Basically, for while this is active, you're going to be effectively invulnerable. It's a very good get out of jail free card for when you're facing a lot of pressure. Your second skill is the Facet of Darkness. This is going to pulse AoE Fury to your subgroup. And when you activate it, it's going to break stun for yourself. It's going to apply reveal, blindness, and vulnerability in area of effect. Your third utility is the Facet of Elements. This is going to apply AoE swiftness to your allies. And when you use it again, you can select a point where you can cast it, and it's going to pulse damage location. It's going to pulse damage at that location. Your fourth utility is the Facet of Strength. This is going to pulse AoE might to yourself and allies. And when you use it again, it's going to give you a damage buff that will increase the damage of all of your skills. And this stacks on top of the damage buffs from your traits. The last skill is the Facet of Chaos, and this is going to pulse AoE protection to yourself and allies. When you use the active effect of this, it's going to CC in front of you in a frontal cone, and any allies in that frontal cone are going to get super speed, up to 5 allies. Looking over at the dwarf stance, our first skill is going to be our heal skill. This is going to heal you and cleanse 5 conditions from you. Be careful with this skill. It is a 1-second cast time. Your second utility skill is Inspiring Reinforcement. This is the bread and butter of Dwarf Stance. You cast it in front of you. It's going to pulse AoE stability to any allies standing on this road. A nice little quirk about this is that this area of effect skill is not one area of effect. It's actually 6 separate AoEs. So even though it says it has a target cap of 5, that applies to each section of the road, so you can effectively apply stability to up to 30 allies. Your third utility skill is Forced Engagement. This is a short-range taunt. It is worth noting that this is a projectile skill, so if it is reflected back onto you, you will taunt yourself towards the enemy that's reflected it. It's a nice CC if we need a little bit of extra CC, but again, it's a projectile, so be careful with it. The fourth utility skill is our hammers, and what this is going to do is it's going to pulse damage around us. Wherever we go, it's going to effectively pulse damage around. It's unblockable, and for every damage that it does, every packet of damage it does, it's going to heal you a little bit. Finally, our last skill is Rite of the Great Dwarf. This is another keystone skill of the Dwarf Stance, and when you cast it, it's going to apply 50% damage reduction to yourself and 4 allies. Good usage of this skill is going to drastically reduce the incoming damage of your party, allowing your healer to work far less to sustain you through the biggest bombs of the enemy. So quickly going over the traits, we're going to be running Devastation, Invocation, and Herald for this build. In the Devastation, we're just going to be taking a lot of damage increasing traits. For our Grandmaster, normally we're going to be taking Swift Termination, but if our tag calls for Brutality, then we'll be taking the top trait. And basically what this is going to do is that it's going to remove stability for every attack that you do on a 1-second cooldown. And this cooldown is per target, so you can end up removing a lot of stacks of stability just by auto-attacking through a group of, or a Zerg. In Invocation, we're going to be taking, again, another damage increasing trait, Incense Response and Roiling Miss. Incense Response, every time we apply Fury to ourselves or any source that gives us Fury with no internal cooldown, gives ourselves Might. This is going to help us keep full 25 Might on ourselves to maximize our own damage. as well as it's going to proc into our shared empowerment. Roiling Mists is just going to be a raw crit chance increase. In our Herald line, we're going to be taking core value. And we're taking core value because this will increase the amount of stacks of stability that's actually granted when we use True Nature. True Nature on the Dwarf is pretty much the only time we want to be using our F skill. And this is going to give 3 stacks of stability to our allies and help fill in the gaps of the stability with our Firebrand. Shared Empowerment is one of the biggest skills of the build. One of our roles as a Herald is that we are giving boons to our subgroup so that everyone in our subgroup is doing as much damage as they can. This, on a 1-second cooldown, every time we gain a boon of any kind, doesn't matter what kind, we're going to give out might, a stack of might in area. So this will help us keep a lot of might going for our allies, in addition to the might that we're getting from Facet of Strength. And our last skill is just going to be Forceful Persistence, which is going to be basically a damage increase. The biggest thing with the way that this works is that at all times in our rotation, we want to make sure that we have upkeep skills whenever we're trying to use damaging skills. So whenever we're using Coalescence of Ruin, Phase Smash, or any of our mace skills, we want to make sure that we have as many of our upkeep skills as up as possible, because that's going to give us the largest damage increase. Because for every Herald skill that we have, we're going to do an additional 3% of damage. Or if we have, say, our Vengeful Hammers, we're just going to do a straight 13% more damage, stacking with all of the other damage buffs on the build. So for a typical rotation, you're going to want to make sure that you're starting with your Facet of Darkness, your Facet of Elements, and your Facet of Strength. That's your Fury, Swiftness, and Might facets, all activated. When we are about to engage, especially when we are about to engage in melee and do a bomb feat, full drop everything at your feet, right before we get into melee at about 600 range, you want to drop your Facet of Elements. This is pulsing damage, so once you get that out, it'll gain the buffs of anything that come after it. So once you drop that, you want to then immediately drop your Facet of Strength. This will give you the damage buff, and then swap over into our Dwarf stance and throw down our Inspiring Reinforcement. From there, we can activate our hammers and then use our Coalescence of Ruin into Phase Smash. When all of this comes together, you're going to get a lot of buffs stacked up so that we can hit as hard as we possibly can with our Coalescence of Ruin in Phase Smash. Once we are done with our opening burst, we can swap over into our mace and sword set and just keep pounding away at our skills on mace 2, mace 3, sword 4, again trying to avoid using mace or sword 5, excuse me, while trying to keep our Vengeful Hammers going to give us the most damage increase as we can. It's worth noting that when we are using our Phase Smash, our Vengeful Hammers is going to be proccing the entire time that you are traveling with the Phase Smash. So when the Phase Smash lands at our distance out here, our Vengeful Hammers is also going to travel with it and do damage at the same time in that same point, 1200 range away from you. It's a nice way to just get a little bit of extra damage to absolutely maximize the amount of damage in your burst.
All damage forward, dodge back. Bomb at our feet, bomb at our feet, bomb at our feet. Sanctuaries at our feet, just range out, range out. Cut left with me, second veil's going down to left in 3, 2, 1, take my second veil. Gravel's going down on arrow. Reflects out front, pulling out front. Now inch back. Dodge back, marks on the free casters, line of sight this, and just inch back. Ready. Drop your traps, breaches in 3, 2, hold it. Breach now and dodge to the right. Breach now and dodge to the right. Bomb your feet. Stab up. Stay tight with me. We're just ranging here. Inch back. That's dead too. All damage at her feet. Cut along the right side. Try to get on their tail. Bomb your feet. We got them down. Hug the left side. Bomb my corp. We got them down. Try to convert. Okay. Yep. Inch back and just range from here. Pulling out.
It's only 23
Second veil down. We're just pulling in the opening in 3, 2, 1 pulls in the opening. Lines forward. Light range only. Now get ready. Sanctuaries forward in 3, 2, 1. Sanctuaries forward.
We're pushing.
Ready. Craft the breaches now. Dodge left. All damage at your feet. Dodge back and get all those down. I'll reflect from the damage. Putting a gravel on their tail. Range out on them. Keep ranging on me. Dodge right. All damage at your feet still. Payback time, mofos. Get the downs on my feet. We're pushing in. Hollow ground at our feet. Push in and bomb your feet.
Good moves.
Dodge left. We're moving forward. Big CC forward. Get some of their tail. Reflex forward. Pull him to our feet if you can. Behind me. Big heal coming in. Yep. Push to the right. Big CC on top of me now. Need stun break. Big heals on top of pin. Big waters. Blast it. Okay, pull back. Move with me. Big CC forward. You guys should have so many moves right on top of this pin.
Point.
Charge him. Make him. Clear comes. Big heals. Okay, we're stopping now. Stop right. Go right.
River speed.
Okay, they're pushing into me now. Big CC here. Pull him to my feet if you can.
Pulling.
Okay, we're moving back left. Yep, go to the left. Trying to immobilize these guys here. Okay, dodge back. Go to the right. Big CC on top of pin. Big CC.
Grab.
Reflex on top of us.
Pulling.
Push forward. Big CC on top of me.
Still going.
Hug the side of them. Hug the side.
Going on top.
Okay, dodge back now. Big heals where we were. And pull them to our feet. The closer the better. Okay, they have the higher ground. Turn around. Back it up.
No.
Back it up. Woo. That was close.
Powering.
Nail down.
One, push with me. Get up to the top of the stairs as fast as you can.
River speed.
Big CC forward. Reflex forward.
Grab.
Oh, I just used my fucking ancestral grace. Dodge back.
Pulling.
Big heals.
Blasting.
We're gonna push forward in 3, 2, 1. Big bomb on that choke.
Follow that.
Push forward. Hug the left side. Damage up. More reflex. Hold here. More damage. Finish the downs here. Okay, we're gonna push up in 3, 2, 1. Push up into the right side.
Yeah, you're done.
Get to me. Big heals.
Blasting.
Pulling.
Everything you have inside the sword room. Pull them at our feet.
Nice AC.
Thanks. My barrage.
Was that I asked you?
Yes, I think we are.